Hi Sagittarius, this is wishkotheferret. Thanks for hopping into the ferret den. We're keeping things warm here. We're keeping things cozy. Today we have a reading for you for June 5th to June 11th. So, as always Sagittarius, drop into your heart space. Let the dust spiritually, physically, and emotionally settle around and within you so that you can determine which messages are for you and which messages are for others. I'm going to take the time to connect with my guides. I kind of already connected earlier, so the free flow is kind of here. So I'm not going to take this card, but thank you, Archangel Michael, for keeping my energy safe and protected. Thank you to my angel guides and my spirit team for helping me connect with the energies of Sagittarius, be they sun, moon, or rising, or if they just so happen to want to connect with the Sagittarius collective. And we'll see what we got going on this week. Okay. Alright, Sagittarius, so Spirit's kind of giving me a little bit of hints here. Your anchor or your main focus, the whole thing for this week, it says delusion. Intention without surrender can be a fast path to delusion. So you need to be careful that whatever it is that you create or construct for yourself, like creating your intentions and making sure that they're coming to fruition, it's almost like you need to let Spirit have room to breathe. So the main thing with this is that, you know, I heard Spirit say maybe this time. So if you've tried many things in the past and you've been doing things the same way again and again, maybe that's a sign to stop. Like, not to stop, but to try something new if you're trying to get a goal. If you're trying to get a specific person and nothing has worked before, then it probably won't work because they might not feel the same way. I'm speaking more of like a romantically, but it could be like in a platonic way or even a business way. But if you're trying to get a certain outcome, and this is anything in terms of romance or speaking otherwise, if you're trying to get anything, you could be grasping so close to wanting that outcome that you're not really letting Spirit have the space to breathe so that they can insert blessings and other avenues of opportunity for you to eventually get to that outcome. But you need to reach a kind of conclusion in order to move forward, Spirit is saying. So, I don't know, this energy is a little bit strange, so let me try to read it and work with it here. It's almost like, this is kind of tough medicine, so I kind of want to, like, word it a little bit different. But Spirit's almost saying, like, if you've tried it again and again, like the way on this card delusion, like it's almost like, I don't want to come right out and say you're kind of deluded a little bit, but hear me out. So delusion has like this little, I don't know if you can see this, it's like a mandala looking, I think it's one of the chakras, I'm not sure, but we have this little, like what looks like a puzzle piece surrounding this card, or surrounding this energy center right here. There's like a little puzzle piece, and it's almost like you keep trying to find the other pieces to this puzzle. You're like, I know the path that I want to get. It's almost like, okay, imagine a big puzzle. Okay, I don't know if I'm going to make sense, but I'm going to try anyway. I'm really going to reach for this analogy here, but you have a puzzle. You're working with like maybe a 10-piece puzzle, and you have the piece from the lower left corner, but you're trying to go diagonal to get to the outcome in the upper right. But the way to do a puzzle, I guess you can do it diagonally, but that would be incredibly tough. Like finding the pieces that go next to it and keep building off of that. And it's almost like there are other pathways to get, and you just keep trying to go the hard way. You keep trying to make the diagonal work, and it's just not working. That's just not how it's going to work. Like, in every situation is different, like, even if you're just going, like, I don't know, now that's a little bit far reaching, I don't want to use that metaphor anymore. It's almost like, or the pathway that you want to do is too challenging. Not that you can't own up to the challenge, but Spirit is saying, like, don't delude yourself into thinking that the same thing is going to work again. You know, it's almost like, because, like, I just keep hearing, like, maybe if I try one more time, or maybe if I do this again, or maybe if I try again, this is my time. And this isn't to say, like, it's almost like, because I'm never, like, an advocate for, like, completely giving up, because this is not the message. Giving up is not the message. Spirit's just saying find another way to do things, because there's unrest under the surface because you're feeling called to maybe do something in a different way, or because something's not working for you. And it's almost like if you've been taking, like, your book and you've been submitting it to publishers, just as an example, if you've been submitting to so many publishers, I mean, people might look at J.K. Rowling and take her as an example and say, oh, well, she didn't get accepted by, like, a ton of other people. Like, it got rejected so many times before she ended up turning it into Harry Potter. But, yes, but after the 50th time, perhaps Spirit is saying rework your strategy. Because it really depends on what it is, but maybe you have to approach it from a different way. Maybe have you thought about, you know, the self-publishing route? Have you thought about diving into different literary agents, or even just, like, looking at your book and joining a writing circle and actually trying to make it better and seeing what you can do? You know, I mean, there's just a lot of, like, Spirit's saying don't get lost in, like, blaming others, or, like, is there something about, like, faults? Because it's not your fault. And it's not their fault. It's just not working for some reason. It's really not up to you to determine why it's not working. It's not a judgment call against you that, oh, you're just not up for this thing, or if you don't deserve this thing. And it's not like, oh, it's this other person's fault, or if this obstacle wasn't in the way, I can achieve this. That's not what Spirit is saying at all. It's just like, Spirit's like, that's not the pathway to your greatest blessings. So try to think bigger, is what they're saying. Like, we're blocking that for a reason, or it's not happening right now in that way for a reason. It's because there's something better for you. And Spirit really wants you to, like, work on that, okay? You have the High Priestess here, and you have the Five of Wands. So already you have your intuition is working in your favor. Your intuition's trying to tell you the answer here. The Five of Wands indicates an internal struggle or an internal debate. Maybe you have tried to commit to this action, the same action, again and again, and maybe it's just not working, and you're feeling this conflict rising up from within. It's okay to honor that and go somewhere else. Yes, you might have invested a lot of energy, time, and resources into one particular thing, but if it's not working, maybe don't take that risk and do it one more time. Like, separate yourself from the event for a second, and really, again, this is where I would say drop into your heart space, because sometimes things aren't, Spirit's like, you need to be clear-headed, but it's almost like it's not your fault. Spirit's saying it's not your fault that things are, like, a mess. So really, like, clear your head and get into, like, a meditative state of mind. Your first response to how you are coming at your problems, or, like, in terms of, like, which way to go, where are your feet trying to take you? Or, like, no, that's not the way I want to word it. What does your heart say? Because your feet are going to want to take you in one direction from muscle memory, from doing the same thing again and again, or from doing things already. But what does your heart want to say? If you're moving in a direction and your intuition's yelling, no, stop! Like, honor that and stop, because it's coming up for a reason. So really take the time to maybe try to take time to meditate and actually create space for yourself. If you haven't been doing this already, take the time away from others just to have, like, be in your own sacred space so that you can sit with yourself and your feelings. Because sometimes we need that separation and we have to cancel out the influences of others and then just external circumstances. So even if it's like, if your struggles and your pressures are on the home, for example, taking a step away from the home, away from everybody who has opinions about what's going on in the home, just step away for a second, go out and take a walk and develop some type of, like, assign something as, like, a sacred space, maybe out in nature, or even if it's, like, just something that's completely neutral that you can just sit, clear your head, and really connect with your core and think, okay, well, who am I and what decision do I want to make right now? Okay? But there's that. There's also, I'm finding I'm missing a card in my spread, so I'm going to shuffle for that. You also have, the Eight of Swords here. And you have it correlating with the Seven of Swords. So there's a lot of sword energy. I do feel like it's, like, again, it's hard to keep a clear head. It's hard to clear your mind right now because there's so much going on and there's a lot of conflict in the heart. So for whatever reason, there could be external influences that are kind of sapping your energy and really kind of, I don't know, just straight up stealing from you. I don't know if people are actually stealing from you, or I don't know. It might not be physical stuff or energy, and they might not realize they're doing it, but, you know, it's, I can't help but feel like the Eight of Swords is what I need to say first, in that the Eight of Swords is usually the card of feeling trapped by our own limiting beliefs. Like, because we believe we can't get out of a situation, or because we believe that something has to be done a certain way, we feel trapped because we know it's not working, but we have to try it anyway, or we get stuck in the same story, like, I'm never going to do this, I can't, those other things, those other ways of other people being successful, that doesn't work for me, it's not going to work for me. That's not true. You haven't really tried it yet, so you don't really know, but, you know, just throwing it out there. Changing your narrative a little bit and actually trying to get into a headspace of assuming that things are possible for you, that the universe is conspiring to give you, like, the greatest life that you deserve, okay, which is bigger than what you're thinking now. I'm just going to be clear, because Sagittarius, if you're here, like, the energy that I'm connecting with, and if this is resonating with you so far, I'll say that whatever it is that you're thinking that you deserve, think bigger, because that's what Spirit's thinking. Spirit is like saying, like, you deserve a lot more than what you are trying to give yourself credit for and what you're trying to earn, because you are more deserving than that. You are more deserving. You're deserving of more. So really trusting that you're deserving of those things, okay? And I feel like that Eight of Swords, because you're kind of trapped in your situation, or because you're feeling, sorry, I should say, see, even like the way that I'm saying it, like, when I really sync up with an energy, sometimes I start to like get sucked in that energy too, and I start speaking that. I don't want to speak your energy, so let me just take a second to, like, remove myself from it. Okay, so, like, I'm imagining myself outside of the Eight of Swords. Sometimes, like, I have to, like, with the way my clairvoyance works, sometimes I have to step into the tarot card and actually view myself in the situation in order to read it and to understand, like, the energy in relation to your reading. So I had to, like, take a moment to step out and quite literally imagine myself looking at this card, looking at the Eight of Swords. So, anyway, but it's almost like needing to take off the blindfold, but I'm sensing a lot of frustration building up from within when I'm stepping into this card. I really feel like there's something frustrating about this story, and there's a reason why it's coming up from within, like, that it's frustrating. That might be actually what the Five of Wands is indicating, that internal struggle, but this frustration is coming up because your soul is trying to tell you that you don't have to do things that way, or you don't have to see things a certain way. And you're like, it's almost like you're battling it out because you want to have hope, but you're afraid you're not going to get there. And Spirit is saying that because you're kind of trapping yourself in this and you're not removing yourself from it, or you're not trying to think bigger, the rest of your situation that you're currently in can feel like it's draining your energy. You can feel like things are being stolen from you, and it's almost like that's the story that's playing, is that people are stealing things from me, or, you know, I'm not really getting what I deserve, and that things are being taken from me. It's almost like just whatever you're playing on in terms of your plights. Spirit's saying, like, you can cut that out. You can cut that out because you are deserving of so much more, and there is a... It's almost like, so I see a spirit here, like, they're pointing right now, and they're actually, like, I feel like this is a message for you. Like, not only are they pointing at the tarot card for me to continue, but they're pointing, like, at the center. Like, they're pointing, like, at something, but it's almost like I see you kind of going, like, looking around and not really looking at what they're pointing at. So this is going to be through your intuition of what they're trying to say, and we'll pull your oracle cards in a little bit so we can really dive into, like, you know, what else this week has in store for you. But this whole time, Spirit's, like, trying to point something to your attention and call your attention to something, but you're focused on too many things, and you're not, like, focused on that. So Spirit's saying call your attention to it, okay? So again, step into that space of meditation to really connect with your intuition and figure out what it is you're trying to do. Journaling is a great help for that, okay? And quite literally asking yourself, what is it that I want to do right now? And even if you just start off by just talking through with your mind and being like, I don't want to do this because of this, and I do want to do this because of that. Once you start talking about it, your feelings do start to rise up and take over. As soon as, like, I write it like my writing is like a stream of consciousness type of thing, and I write really fast, so that helps my real feelings come out to play, and that does help me settle, like, my feelings on the matter and help me follow through on that, okay? But that's just, sorry, I'm bumping this microphone, it's pretty new. But that's just an example of what you can do if you're having trouble pinpointing where to go next, okay? And the root of all of this, the root of what seems like this delusion, is the Knight of Swords. Spirit's saying you really need to embrace your truth here. You really need to embrace your authentic truth and where you want to move. Because the Knight of Swords, you have something you want to do. It's almost like Spirit is saying you're like ripping free. So it's almost like your soul is crying for you to move forward. And it's really like this rushing forward. I don't know if it's the rest of your life that's rushing forward, or if you yourself are breaking out of life, like rushing forward through life, that you are the one doing it. But there's something about speed. For whatever reason, speed is important. Like, either life is speeding up for you and you're like, oh my gosh, and you're having to run up and keep up with it, or you are moving faster. I just get the sense that you're like moving fast, like your subconscious is trying to, like, hang on, how do I word this? It's like you have a conscious, right? This is your consciousness. This is you, like you're aware, and then there's your subconscious. And I feel like your subconscious is like, it's trying to be so loud, this conflict or whatever, like you are coming out. Your authentic self, your core, it's like, I see your core kind of like, it's like moving past the film that separates the subconscious and the conscious, if that makes sense. So you have your inner soul in the conscious, and all of a sudden it's just like, like I see it like ripping through with its authenticity sword or whatever it is. It's true thoughts and beliefs, your own soul's thoughts and beliefs, and it's kind of ripping through your subconscious and like your unconscious and coming out into the conscious. And that's the fight, is that you're trying to push it down. And it's really trying to it's fighting its way out. And it's coming out either way. I mean, you can't really stop this. It's just happening. You can't stop it. It's happening. Your authentic self is coming out. What you really want is coming out. Try as you might, Spirit is saying. Try as you might. You know, you're going to break out of whatever delusion or story you're painting for yourself. You're breaking out of it this week. And let's see what else is going to happen for you. You're breaking out of it. And, you know, you're going to have a choice. You're going to have a choice. I just got the chills because it's basically everything we've been saying. Some of you have a decision to make. There's a fork in the road. You can choose to keep things as they've always been, and you can keep trying the same things, or you can try this new thing or this new path. It's up to you. Spirit says, whatever. We'll try to support you in any way possible. They'll support you, but they're saying that if you take the new path, if you take the path that you're feeling called to, there will be more blessings in store for you. It might be more challenging initially, but push through, and Spirit's saying, we got you. Push through, and we got you. So, truth be told, so this is saying you already know the answer. With the owl holds a lot of wisdom in this card, and this card holds the message in this oracle of knowing deep down and being honest with yourself. It is very important that you be honest with yourself and that you're not living in denial. That's basically just all I'm seeing is like denial. Denial in big bold letters. Just big red bold letters. Denial. Like, but you know what you're feeling. Your feelings are coming out. Like, you know the path that you want to take. I'm sorry, I keep bumping this. The path that you want to take, you know where you want to go. You know the path that you want to choose. But for some reason, you're hesitant. Hang on, let me pull like another card. How can they work through this? I'm like, I mean, honestly, for some of you, you just have to do it. You just have to do it. And you have all that glitters. So, you might think, okay, this is actually kind of silly, but Spirit's like coming in with something like, they're saying something about a 401k, and they're saying we're matching it. That could be quite a literal physical thing, but it's almost like things are not as they appear. So the truth of the matter is that if you take like the road less traveled in terms of like what you have traveled so far, if you're going to take that challenging step, Spirit is saying we will show you, yeah, it might not glitter, it might not be the outcome that you're expecting, it might not be all of that glitz and glam that you think it is, or the outcome that you're imagining, but it will be so much more, and it will feel so much more fulfilling and blessed. Or you might actually get what you desire and more. So it's not as it appears. It's not as hopeless as it seems. But it seems like the thing that the direction that you're like your conscious is trying to go, even though your soul is saying no, like the direction that you're trying to go is almost like, that's kind of like okay, so the grass looks super green over there, but little do you know that on the other path, the grass is way more greener and there are flowers. Do you know there are flowers over there in that direction too? And tulips and all these other things? Like, it's almost like you're taking, like, don't take it, I don't know. It's like you're taking, like, your thing too much at face value. Like, you're taking, like, this other path as having too much face value and, like, not seeing the depth of which you can go with it. And the different things you can do with it. It's almost like, it's like, okay, well, okay, I'm just going to throw this out there. You can be, like, I don't know. Let's say you want to be, like, either, like, a painter, or you can write a book. And you're, for whatever reason, painting doesn't fit you anymore, and you're like, oh, but I've been working so hard, and I have a gallery scheduled, but, you know, I'm not feeling it, and blah, 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 and I just really have inspiration to write this book, and, like, you know, I'm, like, not like I'm trying to tell you to total your career or anything, but it's almost like, you know, you just wrote a book, you wrote it for fun, you think it's amazing, and you're like, oh, I could submit this to publishers, though. And you're kind of like, and, you know, it's almost like you want to abandon, like, maybe the painting side and get more into the writing, but it's almost like you're hesitant to take the jump. But you've been fighting for something for so long, even though it's like, I feel like it's long overdue. Like, maybe you've hated painting for 5 years. Like, you've been into it, you really tried to make it work, and you're like, oh my gosh, I've been in this business for 5 years, and I've been trying to make it work, but oh my gosh, like, oh, but I have all the resources for it. This could make me, you know, I actually have a solid ground as an artist. It can make me big money. Like, you know, I'm still here. Like, I'm making money now. I see the growth. I see the potential. But this new thing, because it's a little bit of a risk, it can be scary. This new thing, what you really want to do maybe is write. And you're like, oh, but I have this amazing book idea. But little do you know, you're like, okay, well, I publish a book, but then what? You know, but little do you know that could lead to more book signings. That can lead to friends that you would have never met had you continued to pursue the art degree. You might have connected with those people way more than you connect with your art friends. You may be able to go to and travel to all of these book signings in all of these different places. Meanwhile, this art thing that you're pursuing might actually just keep you in your town or your city, and you're like, okay, well, or it just keeps you on the internet if you're like an online poster. You know, that's just an example. But there's just so much more, like, there's so much more, like, in terms of, like, webbing out. It's going to web out and connect to other areas of your life. So I just see gifts being bestowed in a bunch of different areas if you pursue the path that your intuition's trying to call you to. Because you might not know where it's leading, but the outcome's going to be a lot more grand than what you're trying to go for in the conscious. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. But anyway, we're going to pull some other cards here, and then we're going to move on to your angel dice. Ooh. So it's tough. It's tough. But radiance. Keep your head held high and follow the sun. Like I said, it's a little bit tough to do this, because usually when an oracle says keep your head held high, that means there's something that you need to keep your head held high up from. It's something that you really need to, you know, you really need to fight to do. Sometimes in these situations, our head feels a lot heavier than it should be. But following the sun, not only is this saying, like, radiate in terms of following the thing that lights up your soul, so, like, following the sun as in following that which makes you happy, but also in doing so, you yourself will radiate. You will radiate joy by following your passion. Yes, there can be challenges, of course, because, you know, there has to be a balance of spirituality and practicality. What fills up your soul still needs to be navigated in the practical. And it's not to say, like, oh, like, you know, following your passion is going to make you happy. Like, there's still other work to be done, and there's still a lot of stuff that you need to do to keep everything balanced. But there is so much radiance and joy to be had simply by taking that first step if you want to align with your truth, okay? There's also discover. Look at the early dewdrops before they disappear with the morning sun. So be curious and really be open to discovering new things, new different ways of living, new habits that you can cultivate. This week it's really just about, like, taking in the newness and discovering. Taking in the newness and discovering, even if you are kind of like, I don't know. So Spirit's kind of saying, like, take a trip to Alabama. And the feelings that it's instilling in me, I think I have to, like, relate this, because I find just this, like some of my states to be incredibly boring. And you know, they'll say, some people say like, oh, there's nothing, not dissing on you if you live in Alabama, there's nothing wrong, you know. It's just whatever spirit is saying. Like, I'm not seeing Alabama as a dull state, but there could be states that really just have nothing in it, or some areas or traveling that has nothing in them, and it's like, ugh, like, you know, when I think of traveling, I think of, I want to go to Europe, I want to go to a different country, like, you know, there's so many wonderful things to see, because I'm in the United States, so there's so many wonderful things to see. But Spirit's almost saying that, like, even if you are going, like, okay, just as an example, if you are traveling to some place, and, you know, it might be a boring place, or there's nothing there, but there's still other things, there's new things to see. It might be, it's not the same tree that you've seen in your area. It's not the same desert. It's not like the same landscape. And there might be other things about the community or the culture. And that's the same thing when you're going and when you're going about your daily life, when you're going about making decisions, even if it's to change your life, really take it in like a newborn babe. Really just have the curiosity of a child and take in those new things, because that just helps express kind of like that. I just heard like it breaks the illusion. It breaks the illusion that things are awful or terrible or not going to work out for you, because you're actually seeing other bits of abundance throughout your day. It's not just recognizing the things around you either. That's like actually exploring new things. Because some things in our lives are only fleeting, like the seasons, like, you know, appreciating. I don't know why this has become very nature-y examples, but it doesn't have to be nature. But let's say you've had some books on your bookshelf that you have not looked at yet. Really just taking the time to sit there and appreciate and peruse through one of them just for fun, or even just like, you know, with the changing seasons. So maybe if you've really loved fall, and all of a sudden, you're getting like a little curious, and you're like, well, maybe I want to like just enjoy spring for a little bit, or maybe I want to enjoy winter, whatever season it is for you. Or I don't know. It's more than just about appreciating, though. It's about noticing these things and being open and curious to learning and admiring, and then just taking in new stimuli. So really taking the chance and taking the time to discover these things is going to highly benefit you this week, Sagittarius. Let's see what we got on the angel dice. Ooh, 404. We're pulling from Angel Numbers by Kyle Gray, as always. God and angels are putting a sacred light of protection around you. You are safe. One more time. God and angels are putting a sacred light of protection around you. You are safe. So if there was ever any doubt, yeah, you're safe and you're protected. Okay? So, that being said, Sagittarius, thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks for sitting with me through this, and I hope you have the greatest week. I hope you get to work through this. I'm sorry if that came through as a little bit of tough medicine. If you like my style, if you like my vibe, go ahead, like and subscribe and all the things. I post weeklies, collectives, pick a cards. I do actually, I'm itching to do a collective because there's a new spread I'm going to try out. So that'll actually be at the table where you're looking at the cards. So I'm very excited, and yeah, we'll see what's going on with that. But I love you, I love you, I love you, and I will see you next time. Bye.